Hold up. I have something special. I have something very special. That's right. There is now intro music. Let's go. Go ahead and critique my intro music. I want to know what your thoughts are. I was going for a jazzy feel. Anyways, I think it turned out pretty good. But let me know if you like it or if I should change it. But for right now, that is the intro music for the BrickFilmer Podcast. And welcome to Episode 11 of the BrickFilmer Podcast. I know I made a community post about a guest speaker coming on. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it to this episode, but we are going to make it work for next episode. So I apologize to everyone who was expecting somebody else to be talking, but you just got me today. So with that said, this is a podcast where I answer your animation questions. If you didn't know that, to those of you who are new. And also, I apologize if I am sounding sleepy, because I am. I am recording this the day of posting this podcast, so cutting it a little bit close. But we're gonna make it work. We got some awesome questions today. The first one is about staying motivated when animating, and it's gonna be good. And let's get right into it. All right, the first question we have is from Mini Motion Films. He asked, I might have already asked this before, what motivates you to keep animating when you feel exhausted of it? That is a very good question. Honestly, something I'm feeling right now as I'm animating the Iron Squad is getting a little redundant for me, and I'm like kind of just pushing it off and like just fiddling with it, not really putting a lot of doing much productive stuff with it. And I feel you there. How I handle like overall just being unmotivated to animate. I mean, honestly, like animating in general, I don't really get unmotivated to animate. Like yes, there will be times where you're not motivated to animate, and sometimes you gotta just press forward and just put in some hours anyways, but not all the time. Like it don't pressure yourself like that. Like I play the piano, but I'm not like serious, like super serious on playing the piano. Like I know how to play the piano, and I like playing some songs on it. And I try to make it a point to like play every day. But I mean, there's been a couple days where I just missed it, and I'm like, okay, I don't really care. I'm not serious about playing the piano. I enjoy it. I enjoy learning it and challenging myself to learn more about it. But at the end of the day, if I don't have time or I'm not motivated to play it, then I'm not. I think the same goes with animation. If you're on a similar boat with animation, of course, yeah, like there are times where you just genuinely don't want to animate, and that's perfectly fine. I would recommend, if you are like really burnt out on a project, just take like a week long break from it. You can either animate something else, or you could just not animate at all. Maybe, you could script another project. Actually, don't script another project, because you'll definitely not want to come back to your current one. But yeah, just work on something else, and just wait until you get that inspiration again. Sometimes that inspiration does come from actually putting in the work and seeing some results. Sometimes it doesn't. You just gotta really just find out what works for you and how much effort you actually want to put into this. And if you're willing to animate, whether you feel like it or not. I'm kind of half and half, where I do make myself animate sometimes if I don't feel like it. And usually I'll just get in the zone sometimes and really get into it. Sometimes I don't, and it feels like, chewing on rocks. It just doesn't. It's just not something I want to do. And yeah, I wouldn't take it too seriously. But taking breaks is one of the best ways to stay consistent with animation as a whole, and not treat it like a job that you're overworking yourself in. So that's what I would have to say with that. I know I just rambled a long time on that. I'm still waking up. Don't judge me. Anyways, let's move on to the next question from Mr. Lego Brick D2. He asked another question for you. When you first started doing stop motion, what was the most difficult thing you faced as you began? What was the most difficult thing I faced? This is a really good question, actually. I took notes last night that I didn't. I don't remember what I wrote down. Let's see what I said. Yes, I take notes. Yeah, I think this is gonna sound like strange, but I think the most difficult aspect of when I started out was I didn't know what a good animation actually looked like. And so I made really bad animations, if you would even call them animations, or more like slideshows. And I thought they were great. I didn't know any different, so I wasn't actually seeking to improve. I would say that's the hardest thing, because I didn't actually realize that they were bad. But once I did, I would say that there's two things very common for anybody starting out, or even who are experienced. Is there's just two things I had really difficult time trying to develop an eye for, and that was following clean lines and consistent arcs in every movement. I didn't know to do that, but I knew to do that, but I didn't make it a point to move an arm super straight, or follow this arc or anything like that. I was just oh, this looks kind of choppy. Oh man, what am I doing? And another part of it was the timing. That this is probably one of the most, if not the most difficult thing to get really good at, is having the timing of your animation play out just like how you envisioned it. A lot of that comes with sticking with a frame rate. That's what I had to do. And after that, I got a lot more experience with developing a good sense of timing in my animations. And so, yeah, those were the two main things, following clean arcs and keeping consistent timing in my animations. When I say timing, I mean if I wanted a jump to look to be up in the air for this long and land like this with this amount of impact, that's what I'm talking about with timing. Actually animating what you're playing out in your head. That's very difficult. But and honestly, I want to say I'm still learning more about that. I probably am. But yeah, it definitely takes a lot to get used to and develop an eye for. But yeah, that would be it. All right. Our third question is from Charlinsky. He asked, what do you think about color grading your footage in post-production, or have you ever tried it? I have, and I always do. I always color grade, no matter what. It could be a test animation. I'm still color grading it. But yeah, if you can, always color grade your footage, because it's going to make it look so much better. So much better. Oh, whoops, that's the intro music. Wrong button. Okay, next question we have is from Ezra Meyer. He asks, question for the next podcast. Do you think that scripts are better written on paper or digital? And what app or software should be good? Excuse me. I got something in my throat. I don't know why. And what app or software would be good for writing scripts on Mac? Question number 2, what is your favorite underrated animator? Okay, I'm going to answer the first question with the scripts. Should you do paper or digital? I used to do paper for scripts. It was kind of nice because I got to practice my handwriting. That was really nice. Only problem with paper is like it's hard to edit the script after you finished it, and you have to put quite a bit of extra effort to refine it. Whereas with a computer like software, like I use Pages or Notion for scripts, and you could just delete a phrase in your dialogue, or like change the wording here, or you could take this whole scene and like rework it, like without having to rip out any paper or rewrite a bunch of stuff. It's really nice. That's mainly why I do scripts on the computer. But yeah, Pages or Notion is what I use. I've been experimenting with Notion more because I get to organize different folders, and it's really nice. But yeah, that's what I like to do. Paper is cool though. Like if you put in the effort to write a paper script, like you will be thinking more about the wording of your script, and like especially the dialogue. Like you'll be putting a lot more effort into making it right the first draft instead of the third, because there's a little room for editing. So for some people it might actually be good because it forces you to like get all your good ideas on paper and kind of go with it, and not like constantly finesse it like with a computer scripting software. But yeah, that would be a cool perk. Moving on to question number 5. What is the best... Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to answer the your second question. Who is your favorite underrated animator? I gotta think on this for a minute. My favorite underrated animator. It's gonna have to be IM Productions. He is awesome. He makes really cool like war Lego stop motions, but not the gory kind. It's like clean but realistic. It's really good. He is an awesome animator. Super underrated. I would have to give that to him for sure. All right. Question number 5. What is the best way to build tension, and what is the most important bit of a set? Oh yeah, I asked him tension in a story. He said yes. Okay. So you're talking about tension in a story. How do you build tension in a story? That is a good question. Because if you don't have tension in your story, it can still be a good story, but it won't have tension. I would say how to build tension in a story. That's a big question because it can apply to anything, I would say one of the first steps to building tension is having clear goals in each character and have them opposing goals. But like they have goals, but they also have reasons for their actions. Like the villain has a reason why he's doing something bad. Like he's still doing a bad thing, and you're still portraying that, but you're giving him some sort of reason behind why he's doing it, so it builds that tension. Same applies for the hero. Like you want them to have a reason why they're doing this thing, and you want to set it up so you're rooting for them, so it builds that tension of like what's going to happen. You can also, some ideas, you could introduce like a time limit in your story where the hero has to get this done before it's too late, before dusk, before sun sets. I don't know. But it builds that like time sensitive tension, you just raise the stakes. Maybe there's a village of people. Not the breadstick village. There's a village of people where there's something's gonna happen to them if the hero doesn't do something, and take this villain. I don't know. It's all like up to you on what you want to do, but yeah, have like reasons for your characters to be doing what they're doing, so the audience can go like, oh, I can see why they're doing that. Even the villain, like, of course, don't make the villain, don't what's the word? Don't like water down any bad thing the villain's doing to make it seem like logical, because it's still a bad thing that he's doing. But create interest in that sense of like giving the villain a reason why he thinks he ought to do this. It creates a really cool like character tension. It's a really cool aspect to think about. But yeah. Oh, what is the most important bit of a set? The set that's in the frame. Like, everything's important in a set. I would say though, having a foreground element is pretty cool. Like, having some grass right in front of your camera for like a forest scene is really cool, because it really creates depth in your image. Like, you have a foreground element, you have a midground element where your character is. This is especially helpful for wide shots and creating that depth. And then you have a background element, like little micro trees in the background. It's really cool. Adds a lot of depth, and it really separates the image. Yeah, you can even take it a step further and like separate base plates from each other to really create that distance. And like plop the camera wherever it like lines all of those base plates up without you seeing gaps. Anyways, I'm getting way down on a tangent on that. I would like to try that though. That would be a cool idea. Anyways, but yeah, I would say experiment with like more foreground elements. It's really cool, especially if you have like a phone, because the phone has like really like bad depth of field where you can see everything and everything's in focus, especially with webcams. Yeah, having that foreground element really separates your image and makes it a lot more appealing to the eye. All right, the next question we have is from Slinky Stick 4230. What in the world is that username? Anyways, I have a lot of trouble aligning voices with the characters, and all of the methods are kind of tedious. Is there a more effective method? Yes, there is. Record your voiceover. Edit your voiceover. Import that audio file into Stop Motion Studio. Over a timeline, you will have to take a frame in order to do this in your project. Layer that audio on a timeline, and therefore you can then go on animating while the audio plays exactly on the timeline, so you know exactly when your character says what, how they should say it, why they should say it, who they're saying. I don't know. Anyways, that's what you do. That's what I do, and it's very helpful. Very helpful. We got a questions from Got the Lego. He asked, new time viewer and listener to the podcast, welcome. Something I do when creating my videos now is create drafts to give me a solid idea of how the scenes will look. It's been very effective for me. It helps me spot errors, make minor adjustments, extend scenes, and add more character. It also improves my overall animation quality through extra practice. Okay, I'm trying to see. My question starts with the refining of each draft. Wait, I'm curious. What did you mean by drafts? Give me a solid idea. Oh, that's a really good idea. I'd highly recommend that. Yeah, make drafts of your animations. Like, if you have a very complex scene that you're animating, like, make a choppy version of the scene so you can see like where the camera should be placed in some moments and like how the timing's gonna look. Like, you can animate like like just like the key poses of a certain fight scene, and see like, okay, here's where the camera's gonna be, here's where the minifigure's gonna be. I'm gonna work into easing in and out from each pose here and here, and that gives you a really good idea. That's a great idea. I've I've known to do this, but I never actually saw somebody actually do this. That's cool. Very cool. Anyways, to the actual questions. The technical polish. Aside from obvious errors, I already watch out for like the light flicker aspect. But what specific visual glitches or minor details are you actively hunting for when scrubbing through a rough draft to clean up a scene? The 80-20 pacing strategy, shifting from visuals to the timeline, what are the high-impact pacing adjustments you focus on to fix story mistakes? What's a mistake? Oops. Anyways, fix story mistakes while keeping the narrative moving efficiently. I'm going to pull up the next panel here because he clarifies a bit because I had no idea what he was talking about. That's probably my fault because I wasn't really paying attention when I was reading it. On the first bullet point, I'm talking about errors or mistakes that you find aside from lighting. You are animating a scene. What are some things you look out for when trying to keep consistency? Mainly small aspects like rubble or background mistakes that you spot after the fact. Ooh, okay. So I think you're talking about like animation stuff of like what I'm looking for to in a good animation. But he said mainly small aspects like rubble or background mistakes that you spot after the fact. Background mistakes. I honestly am not sure what you meant by that, so I'm just gonna assume you asked about like spotting what went wrong in an animation. I'm assuming that's kind of what you're asking. So with that, I just spot like is the minifigure like moving consistently? Does it look like he hits a brick wall, like where he just went somewhere and then just like is like shaking around and wobbling? It looks like he's hitting walls all over the place. You don't want that. Yeah, just make sure it looks smooth and flowy. I know it's broad terms, but like following arcs, keeping a good timing, playing out how you imagined it beforehand. I highly recommend you do that. Like before you start animating, just imagine like, okay, how is this gonna look? And then you base the final animation off of, okay, how close did I get? Can I get closer? Can I delete some frames to get closer to this? Can I add some frames? That's kind of like that's like the optimal approach to that. Yeah. Man, bear with me. I am too tired to be podcasting, but I'm sure it shows. Anyways, when it comes to 80-20, I'm really talking about the strategy you talked about in a previous video. The best summary I can make of it is 80% of the video is what the audience will see, whereas 20% is all the icks that we see. Ooh. Did I word it like that? Because that's a really good way to put it. I don't know if I worded it like that, but how you put that is very good. I would say I agree with that. What are some key things you notice in keeping the story/timing consistent? An example would be if the story moves too fast or too slow. That is a small but critical problem I have at the moment. Okay. So you're talking about story pacing. That's a good question. Oh man. I don't know how to answer that question honestly, because I have a pretty good sense of like comedic timing, I would like to say. And so when I make silly animations, I'm like da 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 bam, you know, like I can just pace it and go like, okay, this is good, bam, I want this to happen. Okay, this is good. Okay, boom. I think it comes from like being like semi musically inclined. Like I have a good sense of rhythm and like hitting the beats, you know. I think that plays a lot into, you know, structuring a video is you have it kind of flowing with this rhythm. And when you think of it like that, I know that's pretty broad. It's kind of hard to apply to an actual animation. But it's that idea of like, is it following a consistent rhythm here of like, okay, this happens, this happens, I'm not trying to tether it to music, but it is kind of like that. I don't know how to put it into words. I just know, like, I'm not the greatest at it, don't get me wrong. Like, Super Sophisticated Super Guy is a prime example of how bad I am at timing in a story. Because it's just like, bam, 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 bam. You don't know what's happening. Like, and so I would say, like, play it out in your head. I said this already, but this is more so for, like, the actual story. Like, play it out in your head and see, like, okay, does this scene need an extra 2 seconds to breathe? Or, okay, do I need to cut this dialogue? Is this like driving this scene in the wrong direction and I need to cut it out and keep the pacing better? It's all about keeping the pacing and like keeping that underlying rhythm to the story. I hope this makes sense. I'm trying to make this as clear as possible. I don't know how to word it better. You just like, you have this idea of the rhythm. I'm not trying to like theorize something that just happens subconsciously for me, but it is kind of like that. You just I think it comes from practice. Like, oftentimes you don't notice bad timing in an animation until you actually finish it and you realize, like, oh my goodness, this was kind of rushed here and it's kind of drug out, and you just kind of learn from that and you just apply that to your next animation and like, okay, I'm not going to drag out this dialogue scene nearly as much as I did last time, or this action scene only lasted for like 10 seconds. It should have been like a 30-second thing. And you just kind of finesse your future animations out of the practice of your previous animations. As far as storytelling goes, and pretty much every other aspect. I think it's just something you develop as you tell more stories and make more animations. I think that's the point I'm trying to get at. But yeah, I don't know everything about timing. Like, you keep a good structure. The 3X structure is a good method for that. I'm going to go ahead and pitch my storytelling cheat sheet. Click the link in the pinned comment below. You can grab a storytelling cheat sheet. I am getting texts at the yin yang. You can grab a storytelling cheat sheet in the pinned comment below. It's pretty much like a cool little checklist that you can use to put your story up against to see, like, okay, is there a good moral in here? Is the timing and pacing right in it? And it also has like the 3X structure in there. In like the comprehensive guides of like what each check is all about. It's a really good learning tool, and also good to use for every story you tell. Highly recommend it. I had a lot of fun making it, and yeah, it's totally free. You just have to click the link in a pinned comment below and subscribe to my email list so that way I can send it to you via email. So, yeah, that's my little mid-podcast pitch. Anyways, but yeah, I would just recommend you just check out the 3X structure. It helps you to get, it helps you to get a better idea of like pacing, even with short animations. It helps to keep you on track and not like scrambling throughout your story and not sure what to film, what not to film, what to cut, what to keep. And yeah, I think that would be very helpful for you. All right. This is the last question of the podcast, probably the most crucial and critical of them all. That is from LYT Creates. He asks, why am I always on the front of your podcast episodes? Let me scale this up real quick. Why am I always on the front of your podcast episodes? Look, man, did I copy you?
or did you copy me? That's what I want to know. Because I don't think, like, Smiley Face Dude was here before you even. I don't know. I honestly don't know, actually. But yeah, I think I want to know who's copying who. That's my question. Who's copying who? Look, I don't know what to tell you, man. You just gotta. Maybe you should, like, get a different minifigure, because you may be. I might get you for copyright. I don't know. Oh goodness. Anyways, with that said, that is the end of this podcast. I know it's pretty quick. I would have liked to answer your questions a bit better, but I am not awake enough to do such things. So I apologize if I sounded very annoying this podcast and like I was about to fall asleep, because that is partially the case. But in any event, I hope you got some sort of value from this episode. Next episode will be so much better because there will be a guest speaker on, and I will be more awake physically and mentally. So be sure to tune in for that. And with that said, yeah, go grab that storytelling cheat sheet. It's gonna blow your socks off. You're probably not wearing socks right now, but if you were, it would blow your socks off. So with that said, thank you. Oh yeah, I'm totally rushing this. If you have a question for the next podcast, be sure to drop it down below. Yeah, that's something to do. Oh goodness. Okay. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, God bless you, and have an awesome rest of your day. I'm gonna play this intro music again because I think it was cool.